So hi guys, so today we're going to talk about aspects of a home, and today's subject is going to be basement. So it's what the house is built on, especially in Wisconsin here. Now we know, so why do we have basements? Well, the reason being the footings have to be below the frost level. So about 2 or 3 feet down is where it freezes in the winter, so we need to get below that. So the ideal situation is, because we can be building at least 4 feet down below the house, is to put in a basement. So they typically go 8 foot or more. Some cases they're a little bit less, so if you have to duck, sometimes you will. Now these can be built out of many materials. One is fieldstone, so the older type farmhouses, etc., they would be built on big boulders, big rocks that they would pile up, cement between them, and they would typically be quite a thick wall, very sturdy, and they would just build them up to a level. Sometimes you'll see half and half, so it'll be fieldstone on the lower half, maybe 3 or 4 feet, and then it'll go to brick on top of that. So obviously brick is another material that you can build the walls on a basement out of. Generally that's two skins, so 2 layers of bricks built up with sometimes a cavity in between, an air gap if you like. They can be built out of block, which is very common. However, block can crack at times, and the latest method and the more popular method now is poured concrete. So they put a frame in and they pour the concrete between the frame with some metal in there to strengthen it. So I've got several examples here of how it's built. So if we look here, you can see this is a block, but it could easily be brick, the way they build it. That goes down onto a platform to spread the load of the wall, because don't forget this is going up at least 2 stories, possibly 3, and then the floor level of the basement. So down the side here we've got backfill. So if I go to a lower picture, you can see, so this is like gravel, this is backfill, this is insulation on the outside of the concrete. So this is showing a typical poured concrete level with rebar in there to strengthen it. You also have a slab that's poured on top of that. But that's why we have like a drain tile. So this is what's called the drain tile, where there's shingle underneath. The water can come up from the ground at times, and we need to remove that. So the easiest way to do that is have a soak away system where it soaks away, or to put in a sump pump. So some houses, they found that they put a lower point in where the water can drain into, and we have a pump that pumps it outside again, so it gets removed from the property. So they are the typical, you can see it a little bit better there, so they're the typical ways of building a basement, especially in this neck of the woods. Now not all states would have basements. Like Florida, for instance, they very rarely have basements because the land is too damp there, whereas we do. We have lots of basements. I've typically come across people that have never had basements in their life. They've just moved to this area, and so we educate them on the different types of basement and what to look out for. So you can see this is the wall going down here, this is your garden, your backyard, and so the water comes up, gets met by the barrier, and will travel down alongside the wall. So we want that to be moved away. So that's why these downspouts are typically 4 to 6 feet or anything up to 8 feet away from the house, so it gives the chance for the water to drain away further away from the side of the basement. That way you get no ingress. So, but if not, we have these drain tiles. People refer to them as a French drain, but the drain tile is all this underneath here, so it helps the water disperse. It allows it to move away from the house so it doesn't come into the house. Sometimes if you do get water coming into the house, check out the grading of the land around at the surface, because it may be pitched towards the house, some erosion may have gone on, one of your downspouts may have come on, unhooked, and it's now coming straight down alongside the side of the basement and running down the foundation. Then come winter time, that water has nowhere to go, it freezes. When water freezes, it expands, so when it expands it can force the wall in, and that's what causes cracking, stuff like that. It's called hydrostatic pressure. So the water freezes, it moves apart, it has nowhere to go, so eventually something has to give. Unfortunately, the weakest point there is not the soil around it that goes for hundreds of yards. It's going to be the wall. Okay, so that's why we want to get as much water away from the basement wall as possible. That's why we have downspouts with the extensions on that take the water away from the house. We have grading that should drop an inch every foot away from the house, so any snow, when it melts, it will run away from the house. Any rain that falls will run away from the house. We have the extensions, so any water coming off the roof is going to run away from the house. And then finally, our last bit of defense, if you like, is the sump pump. If we have a sump pump in the house, not all houses have them, but if you do, then the sump pump will be the lowest point of your house. All water will drain towards that, and then it gets pumped from there up and out of a pipe that will go many feet away from the house to move as much water as possible away from the house. So if you've got a bone dry sump pump, just check, make sure it works every so often. Pour a bucket of water in there if you have to. Just check it, make sure it works. Some people even have battery backups, so that if there's a power outage, they know they're still safe. They can still, it still keeps the basement nice and dry. So that's a little bit about basements. If you have any questions, obviously get in touch with me and we'll be happy to answer them. But there's the details of how a basement is built. So what is it? It's either fieldstone, brick, block, or poured concrete. Poured concrete's got to be better, it's stronger, and I'm coming through to you from my basement. So my basement, I have a little finished area here for my office, and that's what a lot of people are doing. They're using them they're making them into usable space within the house. So some people can finish a basement. Not all basements are suitable to being finished because they're pretty quirky. They could be low ceilings, there could be damp in there because some of them weren't actually designed to be perfectly dry. They do allow some moisture in, and so yeah, that's why people put stuff up on pallets, if you like, to keep things dry in the basement. But they can, or you can get companies in that will put in a new French drain or weatherproofing to stop that happening. Hope this has been useful for you, and I'll speak to you again on the next subject. Bye for now.